Hey guys, welcome back to Deadman 1810 and welcome back to, well, more news in the confines of wrestling because, well, naturally, over the past month and, well, more than a month since I've not been on YouTube doing videos or live streams or whatever, a lot has happened. A whole lot in the world of wrestling. A whole lot. And based on that, yeah, it's it's a bit of a mixed bag. And on the last episode, which was the comeback episode, we discussed on how brilliant John Cena is and was, and all those other things. Because of course it's Cena month, and furthermore, his 20th anniversary of his debut is on the 29th. So there you go. That explains the reasoning behind that video. And yeah, so that's that. That is numero one of the stuff that naturally I need to say my 2 cents on. Number two, well, it's kind of became a little bit of a threesome in terms of it's kind of become a bit of a threesome when it comes to news because, well, we got three bits of news, and I will break it down into videos, so they will be trimmed and they will get their own separate videos. So it's basically going to be kind of like what I do with shorts, but it won't be a short as such because, well, you won't get the hashtag short on it. So there you go. That's basically what's going to happen there. And basically the news stories are Sasha Banks being released, Randy Orton being apparently out for longer than expected because apparently he's got a back injury. If you remember what happened to him on that fateful night on SmackDown, what Roman did to him, Roman Reigns that is, along with Riddle, he kind of got one as well during that whole beatdown. But yeah, so that is also what we'll be discussing about, as well as the whole John Laurinaitis and Vince McMahon situation. I won't go into any more detail on it. We're just going to get right into the video anyway.
Yo, what the fuck is happening in the WWE right now? It seems like every other day a new story is coming out about the WWE and it just gets wilder and wilder, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know where to start. As the great 50 Cent once said, yo, when it rains, it pours, and right now it's hailing outside of WWE headquarters. It all started when Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on Raw a few weeks ago.
So here's the deal. I haven't actually said my 2 cents on this because this happened while I was not being able to do videos. So I'm just gonna give my 2 cents on this right now. So basically, as Wrestling Gift said, this all started when Naomi and Sasha Banks walked out of Raw and walked out on the WWE. That basically on one Monday Night Raw where the WWE wanted them to be going against one another and basically pin one another where Naomi would have won the match and etc. But that's all kind of irrelevant. But still, the original plans were kind of along those lines, and then they had to change those because of that reasoning, and therefore we got it Hell in a Cell instead of Naomi versus Bianca. We got Bianca versus Becky versus Asuka, which was a brilliant match. So yeah, it was definitely a great audible that they pulled anyway. But yeah, so that was a great match, but that happened because of this situation. So that's where the whole craziness really began, I suppose. Began. Let's look at it that way. But yeah, so that's where it started, and my whole opinion and 2 cents on this whole shindig. I don't think they should have walked out, to be honest, but I do understand why they did, because they were kind of getting under neutralized or whatever. Like, they weren't really being used that much. Because, I mean, Naomi, she hasn't had all that many memorable moments, and Sasha, she's always played with short title reigns and everything, and obviously the women's tag team titles have been kind of a joke all of its history, or for all of its history, so, and I even made fun of it at one point as well, during the WrestleMania stuff that I did before I had to go on hiatus because I couldn't do any YouTube videos. But yeah, so so they were kind of treated like garbage, basically. The titles were so naturally they put Sasha and Naomi in the division, tag team division of the women, and naturally they're believing that that's gonna fly well with Naomi and Sasha, and obviously, yeah, WWE found out in the worst way possible because that wasn't flying with either of them, especially not Sasha Banks, and therefore they both walked out on that night. And while they shouldn't have walked out because obviously they had a job to do, and therefore you kind of got to do what you're told from your boss, especially if it's Vince McMahon. So yeah, while I don't agree with them walking out, I do get why. Yeah, it's a sticky situation, but it only gets worse from here. It really, really does.
When Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out, the whole wrestling community was tripping. It was a pretty big bomb, and everyone's like, wow, this is pretty insane. But even then, it was like, all right, it's cool. You know, it happens. It happened many times before. Hopefully they come back. You know, they're huge assets to the company. Hopefully they come back, and they probably will come back, right? Fast forward 3 weeks later, and a report comes out that Sasha Banks has been released from the WWE.
So let me just read this report, and you'll figure it out. I think this came from... Yeah, it came from Twitter, so yeah, I figured that out because of the word tweets. But anyway, I'm hearing Sasha Banks has been released. I don't know if it's he required it or if it was on WWE's end. Yeah, so this isn't like real like bottomless pit, like concrete put in stone evidence in terms of this being true, but this guy's usually quite I can't remember his name, but yeah, this guy's usually quite good with his speculating, so he could be right, you know. Sasha may well have gotten released, but obviously we don't entirely know that for sure because this is kind of just what he's been hearing. I mean, he even said it himself. I'm hearing Sasha Banks has been released. Da 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 da. You know, like, this isn't like news coming that's like totally like factual. This is just what he's hearing. So it's basically a rumor in simple terms, and it seems like it's true. Seems like it. I'm not sure entirely. But if it is true, then that'll be a huge loss for WWE. Huge loss. For so many reasons. I mean, one, she's 1/4 of the 4 horsewomen with her, Becky, Charlotte, and Bayley. Yeah, I think I got that right. And, so that's one of the reasons. And two, she's always been a major asset to WWE, and especially their women's division. I mean, there was so many great matches that Sasha had with the likes of Bayley, Charlotte, and then some. So that would be a very, very big loss for that reason as well. So that's the second reason, and well, there's so many others, but that's kind of the top 2 reasons, to be fair, that I can think of right off the bat.
Sasha Banks, arguably one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, especially when it comes to the WWE. A woman who has main evented WrestleMania just last year, one of the most popular wrestlers on the roster, apparently got released. The report came out last night by Raj Giri, who's been in the industry for a long time. Regardless of him and the stupid shit he has said in the past.
Oh, so Raj Giri. So yeah, so he has said some kind of iffy things apparently, but his reports are his theories and whatnot do tend to be mostly true, so I wouldn't be surprised if obviously he is right, and I think the general consensus is that he is, but yeah, so So that's all I can really say about his opinion, obviously, and yeah. Either way, it's a big blow for WWE if this obviously is true, which I think is based on recent history.
He is still someone who's been in the industry and has been in the know, and he dropped a bomb. The entire wrestling community on Instagram, Twitter, you name it, probably MySpace at this point, everyone was going insane because the thought of Sasha Banks not being in the WWE, it doesn't make any sense. And especially the Sasha Banks stands on Twitter,
Exactly, like the thought of having Sasha not in the WWE, it's like if you weren't it I don't know what I could really compare it to. I was trying to compare it to something, but I don't know whether I can really, because it just sounds so blasphemous, but at the same time it's like it's kind of no different to if like somebody else like Roman got released or whatever. And it's definitely no different compared to like when Bray was released. Like nobody ever thought that he would get released, and yet here we are. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, what can I say? But it is obviously going to be a big blow for the WWE. I mean, undoubtedly, you can't really question that.
These crackheads, man, respect to them, they live and breathe Sasha Banks. They went even more nuts because they heard the news and they started tripping out so much, they started attacking the man who broke the news and started threatening him in his DMs. So then,
yeah, that's not good. Like that's not good at all. Like Sasha Marks, you don't need to do that. That's not okay. That really isn't.
He comes back and he's like standing by the news he broke, and he's like, yo, at this point, I'll basically put my career on the line over this news because he believes it's 100% legit. So now, here we are, 12 or so hours later, Sasha Banks fans.
I don't know what the hell to say. So basically, to cut this story into short pages, I suppose, Sasha Banks fans are basically depressed and probably losing the will to live. WWE fans are confused, and well, it's obviously shook the wrestling industry. Clearly,
are depressed, wrestling fans are shook at how this might actually happen, and Raj Giri has put his career on the line based on this news. Nobody has any idea what's going on.
That's just crazy how he would put his career on the line for that. But I mean, he's been known to, be right about quite a few things in the past. So, I mean, he's fairly reliable, I would say, in a way. So, I mean, it seems as true as done, in my opinion. But obviously, Sasha fans are definitely not going to accept that one. Definitely not. I'll be surprised if they do. I mean, so far they haven't, but who's to say they won't be in the future? Be accepting of that.
The only other news that's come out is that for the past week or so, Sasha Banks has been getting her lawyers to try to get her out of the contract. So she's serious. She is 100% in it. She wants to leave, and she wants.
Oh my god. Yeah, her lawyers are actually helping her out with this as well, guys. So yeah, Sasha seems to be on board with the idea of getting released. So there you go.
To be a free agent. And once again, the idea that Sasha Banks might become a free agent and she might go wrestle in another company, go to Japan, go to AEW, or shit, who knows, go into Hollywood, become an actor, or she could even disappear and just live her life. No one knows. But yeah, one of the most popular, one of the most celebrated
True, I mean, like, she is popular, she is celebrated, she can go to any promotion, whatever, like, and she would thrive. Or she could go to, Hollywood and she would still thrive. I mean, I've not really seen her performance in The Mandalorian, but I think from what I've heard, she did a great job, but obviously I'm not sure, because as shocking as it is to believe, I haven't watched The Mandalorian yet, so there you go. So Yeah, so she can definitely tear it up in any promotion that she wants, or literally tear it up in Hollywood. Like, she has the ability to do both of those things, and she obviously has a popular fan base and is well celebrated, so that's obviously a plus on both ends. So she can easily do both of those things.
WWE's like star, literally one of their main stars, one of their main attractions, is trying to cut the scene. That itself is wild, right? Like, that itself is crazy, and it's like, wow, Sasha Banks might leave. Wow, great video, Pav. Nah, that is far from it.